Hi there YouTube, Sad Womble here. Anyone who looks at the date stamps on my videos will notice that I haven't done any for a while, and that's why I wanted to tackle this topic tonight. Being angry is okay. Now, I'm not talking about physical anger, that's something totally different and something that I disagree with entirely. But being mentally angry about the state of society is absolutely fine, and something that I think all men should actually go through. And then if any man who does go through it will realise that MGTOW is the only sensible course of action. Let's face it, women have got us beaten, certainly at the moment, and there's nothing we can do about it. Feminism has totally taken over the world. Gynocentrism is where it's at. Governments are terrified to say anything against women. Men are terrified to say anything against women. Society is terrified to say anything against women. Everyone is terrified to say anything against women. If you say anything against a woman, you're a misogynist. This is the hilarious thing. A woman can stand there and shout and scream and bawl and take your kids and take your house and take everything you've ever worked for. But the moment you go and say, you turn around and say, that's not fair, you're a misogynist. No, you're not. You're just a human being that's pissed off with another human being. What's wrong with that? Now, if you do what I've done, which is basically trawl the internet for every bit of MGTOW work you can find, not work, any bit of MGTOW documentation you can find, all that happens is you get more and more and more and more angry with the state of the situation. And this has been the situation I've found myself in. I must have tried 30 times to make a video about something since my last video, and I would get like half a sentence in or a couple of minutes in and just start to rant and lose my rag completely. Because I'm just so cross. It's ridiculous. And it's got to a point where literally I really can't interact with women anymore, because all I can see is the lie behind the eyes of basically everything they say. Basically, if you haven't already, go onto YouTube and just look up feminism, look up MGTOW, look up anything about, how women are messing up society, and you'll see. It'll just get you so cross. It has got to a point where I can't even watch a lot of TV films anymore that have got women in them, because I can see the actresses don't even believe in what they're doing. Yes, it's got that bad for me, which has really ruined television in many ways, because especially when they're being, not particularly nice characters, I can almost see the fact that it's the actress just saying the words in order to get the money for the part. That's how bad it's got for me. But yeah, it's okay to be angry. I just wanted to get that bit out. And if you're not angry, well, why the hell not? Men or women, but mainly men. Why? I mean, marriage is absolutely nothing for men. Women have walked away from their traditional roles. A marriage is a contract. Two people come together and produce, it's a business contract. Two people come together and do something that's meant to be bigger than themselves. The man says, I will give you a roof over your head and money, and the woman says, I'll look after the house. Now, modern feminism, girl power, call it what you will, has decided that women are allowed to walk away from all that, but men aren't allowed to walk away from it. Oh dear me, no. And if a man tries to walk away from that social norm, he has to man up, because he's not a real man anymore. Well, okay, maybe a woman who doesn't cook and clean at home isn't a real woman then. Let's see how that one goes. Yeah, right. How long's that going to last? Now, this isn't to say, and anyone who's listened to the other videos, that I am up for going back to traditional values. Absolutely not. MGTOW all the way. Basically, what's happened is this stuff has shown women for what they are. Women are natural spenders. I think it's in some of my other videos. Women, naturally, they want to consume. Which also makes it funny about the current situation in the world with the state of all the businesses going down, because women are meant to spend something like 80% or 90% of all the world's money. Well, that's going well for them, isn't it, at the moment, with shops closing and everything? I would actually say that women are in charge of all the world's ills, but then I would, because yes, as you can tell, I'm very, very, very angry about this situation. Probably not making a great deal of sense, but if I'm making any sense, then yay. But it's just absolutely crazy that women are allowed to say this stuff, but men aren't. And it's because, as we know, there's gender bias towards women in society. Women are considered to be more important than men because women have babies. But here's another thing to think about. Every woman you know, assuming you still interact with women, just think about it to yourself. Would you interact with them if sex wasn't on the table? And the answer is almost certainly not, unless you work with them and you have no choice. You know, would you have any of your female friends if you didn't think they were cute? Probably not. You know, I have a way of looking at women these days. I look at women as people. Not men or women, just as people. You know, would I hold a door open for a man? Well, if he's got a heavy book, just the one. If he's got a heavy box of stuff or whatever, I will hold the door open for him. And I will hold the door open for a woman in the same situation. But not because she's a woman, but because she will struggle to open that door. And so it is with everything else in my life. You know, it's just a matter of treating women as people, literally just people, and not giving them any special treatment whatsoever. And if you start to think to yourself, well, okay, if sex isn't on the table, will I have any dealings with them? If the answer is no, well, you've got your answer. They're just an obnoxious person that you wouldn't want to have dealings with. I have dealings with women on trains and things, and I actually make a point. If there's a seat, I will sit in it, because if that was a man trying to sit down somewhere, I wouldn't be bothered. I would very happily go and sit down in a seat, and wouldn't care two potatoes that man was having to stand up. So why should I care if a woman has to stand up? You know, there are reasons, possibly if she's pregnant, but then I would suggest, well, that's her choice, in much the same way as it's someone's choice to have carrying huge bags and things. The woman chooses to get pregnant. You know, takes two to tango, and with prostitution, I didn't mean to say prostitution, but with prostitution on the rise works as well. But with pregnancy on the rise, when they've got all these pills and jazz to go with, you know, they can choose not to. They can choose to take all the medication they want. You know, they can choose to get rid of it. You know, pregnancy is a choice. So be angry. Allow yourself to be angry. It does pass. I'm working through it at the moment. I'm determined to do more videos in 2015 because I believe I've got more to give. A lot of my videos may hopefully be a little less ranty than that, but I don't like scripting them because the anger and the passion never survives the scripting process. But just allow yourself to be angry. You know, never physically, absolutely not, never physically, but allow yourself that luxury, you know, to actually really feel what's been done to you in society, to feel how men have now been totally and utterly screwed over at every level. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, whack your comments below, and then we'll all have a good laugh. Because laws used to be based on, you know, one person being nasty to another was illegal in all sorts of ways. A man couldn't beat up a woman and a woman couldn't beat up a man. But it wasn't a man or a woman, but it was a person. You as a person, whatever sex you were not allowed to beat up somebody else. A man couldn't beat up another man without potential punishment, and a woman can't beat up another woman. Anyone who says women are not the violent sex has clearly not seen a proper girl fight outside a pub. You know, girls do not play fair. They kick, they scratch, they scream, they pull, they yank. Their friends egg them on. You know, they're not standing there, you know, twatting each other with daffodils, you know. These girls go for it. And anyone who tells you, oh, girls are really lovely, all they ever do is stroke puppies and kittens and think about rainbows, do they flip? Women know exactly what they're doing, and that isn't a bad thing. Women know what they're doing, but men should be allowed to think what they're doing as well. We are now in a society where if a woman says something bad about another woman, that's fine. That's just a woman being catty. If a man says something bad about a woman, he's being an evil misogynist who must now be pilloried through YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and everything, and must be put to death and killed and murdered and everything, and he's just evil, 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 evil. But if two women go at each other, they're just being catty, so that's all right. Let's put that on a news network and just find that hilarious. Double standards, anyone? Oh, I think so. Double standards, as long as you're just talking about the men. Yeah, because women don't have double standards. No. Women are just women. Women are allowed free speech. Men aren't allowed free speech. And this is where it gets funny. This is where it gets hilarious, and the double standards really start to show. When you get women, and I'm not going to mention names, because obviously, you know, I'd get shut down because men aren't allowed free speech. But you get women, and we just look at any of the news outlets, just look at any of the gossip columns, women, they'll stand there and it'll say, I'm bitchy, or I deserve my say, or I'm just having my say about such and such, or I'm entitled to my opinion. That's a good one. A woman saying, I'm entitled to my opinion. Yes, she is. But somehow, apparently when a man says something, he's not entitled to his opinion. Problematic? Oh yes. Now, this video, even by my standards, has been exceptionally ranty. However, I defy anyone to listen to it and if you've got through it, well done, but mainly not to agree with me. You know, men have been totally and utterly messed up by society. And it's time more of us got as angry as me and actually started to do something about it. Okay, MGTOW is the solution because, yeah, we're beaten. Totally honest, you know, there's absolutely bugger all we can do about it. All we can do is walk away. Now, what I am a big believer in is market forces, right? Things happen because the market wants them to happen. If every man suddenly said, I'm not going to have any dealings with women, well, the only way it could happen, the only way anything could ever change would be for things to be made fairer for men. And no, I'm not talking about going back. I'm not talking about being a tradcon or going back to the previous 1950s model. Absolutely not. I'm talking about basically ditching all the laws that basically say if a man hits a woman, he's an evil man who must be put into prison forever. But if a woman hits a man, that's just hilarious. Let's all have a laugh at him. No, if a man hits a woman, that's a crime. If a woman hits a man, that's a crime too. And all that goes with that kind of concept. The patriarchy did not exist. You know, it is true that society used to be set up, and still is, way more than it ever was, used to be set up to protect women. And some of these things, basically what they were doing is protecting women from themselves. Okay, women don't want to be protected anymore. That's totally cool. Except they're now more protected than they ever were before. Women have no agency at all. Women are all shrinking violets and help me. Yeah, right. I keep trying to finish this video and it keeps carrying on because I keep thinking of new things to rant about. So maybe I'm going to stop now so that it's not really long. And anyway, thanks for listening. Hopefully this will be the first of my 2015 videos to go up. I have been having some technical problems as well, but over time we'll get these sorted out, and I look forward to doing more videos for you. Comments below, please subscribe. Looking for me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well. Mainly just posting up videos I've seen, etc. But thanks for listening, and Sad Womble out.